Hey, sorry. Sorry about the delay in getting this to you. It's not too many good resources on this, but it builds pretty heavily on the L or zero example we did already. So it's just a couple of adjustments on that to get to LR1. I'll just jump straight into it. So here's an example. Grammar, we got S goes to BC or DA. B goes to B, C goes to A goes to A, and D goes to B, A. So before continuing, why do we care about LR1? LR0 works well, but it won't recognize all grammars. If you remember that when we were filling out the parsing table, we would fill out a row when we got a reduce action. And that's going to increase the likelihood that some of the there'll be a conflict in one of the cells. So this is going to address that. We're going to keep a look ahead symbol. Also, if you think about it, because we're not using the columns for the reduce actions, we're not actually using the look ahead action in look ahead symbol in LR0, which is why it's called LR0. It's like zero look aheads. This is LR1, so we're gonna have to keep track of the next symbol that could occur. So first thing we're gonna do, rewrite this grammar. I'm gonna introduce a new rule. S goes to S, just saying, and then dollar. Dollar means end of string. Just saying, the first rule, there's like a one before it, and saying that there must be like a non-terminal that points to that, and ends with the end of input symbol. Then for ease, although it doesn't change anything, we're going to split this one into two different rows. S goes to BC, S goes to DC. Then the rest remain the same. C goes to A goes to A, D goes to B, A. Okay. So one of the things that we're going to need to do here is to calculate follow sets and first sets. I think when we were looking at LR1 or LR0, we calculated the first set and the first set of the whole grammar. In this step, we're going to construct the item set and keep recalculating the follow set. So that doesn't make much sense. It doesn't make much sense to do it once here, but we will construct the first set because that doesn't tend to change. So let's start with that first set. So we've got in this grammar, 6 non-terminals, S dash S, B, C, D. Oh, sorry, I think I actually copied. It should be DA. This is DA here, DA here. We got BC, DA, and BCDA. That's it. Okay, so if you remember the rules for calculating the first set, we look through starting from the bottom just because it tends to be easier. We get the first character of whatever the expansion rule is. So in this case, first of D is just going to at least include B. Okay. First of A is going to at least include A. Remember, shouldn't close that yet because there might be more. We've got to remember that uppercase means non-terminal, lowercase means terminal. First of B is going to include B. First of C is going to include first of A. I'll just write first of A here because we can calculate that first and then figure it out later. First of S. So from here, First of S is going to be first of D union first of B. Could be either of those. And then finally, first of S dash is just going to be first of S. Okay. Now that we've kind of went through all of the rules, we can close these off and say these ones are done. So there's nothing more we can do for B, D, or A. So we can for example, here we can just substitute an A now. Now that we know what the first of A is, so that's just going to be the first of C is just going to be the set with A in it. The first of S is going to be the first of D or the first of B. First of D or first of B. First of D is B. First of B is B. So in fact, it's just B, lowercase. And first of S is just going to be the first of S dash is just going to be the first of S. And so that's going to be B as well. That's all done. And then later on, I'm going to give these rules numbers as well, so that when we're filling out the parsing table, we can refer to these numbers 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we'll just keep that for later. Look at my notes here. So just keeping this, I should just keep it here. This will be a useful reference. So now we're going to turn this to the side. We're going to start by constructing the item set the way we did before. There was one detail that I think I maybe didn't cover, but I think it might have looked like in previous examples that I was copying over all of the rules for item set 0. In fact, you just start with the first item and expand it out. A lot of the time, that's just going to be the same as copying over the rules for item set 0, but in this case, it actually isn't. So we start with the first production rule, which is S dash goes to dot S and dollar. Dot S is where we are in the production, and then we add in the closures for dot S. So looking here, that just means that we have to also include all of the rules where S goes to something. So S goes to BC, S goes to DA, S goes to dot BC, S goes to dot DA. Now S, there's a dot in front of the B and a dot in front of the D, so we have to add those in as well. So because there's a dot in front of B, we have to include this rule. So B goes to dot lowercase b. Same with this D. The rule where the left non-terminal is D is this one, so it's D goes to dot B A. And now we've expanded everything that we can. So this is where the difference between LR0 and LR1 is. We also need to include our look ahead sets. So the first place to start is that S dash goes here. That's just $. You can just think of it, you always start off like that. Okay, so when we're expanding .s, we also have to think what's the symbol that could come after S. In this case, it's always going to be $, and so this $, is also here. So we're calculating the follow set essentially, but just with this thing. Oh, by the way, when I expanded this item set, I didn't include this rule C goes to AA because there's no way to reach that from the beginning. So that's why I'm pointing out that you don't just copy over the rules for item set 0. You start with S dash goes to dash the first rule, like rule 0, and then expand it from there. Okay, so that's so now we're adding the look ahead symbols as well. So again, as opposed to L or 0, we have our rule but we also are going to add on the look ahead symbols on the right. So we want to expand out B. So what's the follow on set from B? Well, it's whatever the first of C is. First of C we calculated already as A. So that just means that when we're expanding out this symbol, A is the look ahead symbol. By the way, if there's two look ahead symbols, if for example one of these first sets had two elements in it, we would just copy the rule twice and have include the look ahead symbol, the two different look ahead symbols. That doesn't occur in this case because most of these are just first and they're not nullable, so it just kind of simplifies the question for us. But that's actually how it works in most of the exam papers I've seen. At least I don't think I've seen any examples where there's nulls. Then the other thing that we expanded out this the dot D. What could possibly follow dot D? It's A. What's the first set of A? We calculated it here. It was the terminal A, and so when we're expanding this out, we have to include A. The S goes to DA. Where did that come from? Oh yeah. So that was just the alternate path of, that's just from these two. So again, this is just going to be the look ahead is going to be dollar, because the only thing that can follow S is the dollar here. And that's our complete item set 0. So again, following a similar procedure to put a 0 here. Following a similar procedure to L or 0, the L or 0 case, except we're also adding in the look ahead. Okay, so then similarly to how we did it before, we need to go through, the dot's going to move forward, and from this we can see it's either going to be capital S, capital B, capital D, lowercase or lowercase b. So we have to go through each one of those possibilities and see what the resulting item set would be. If we were to process an S, well, the only production rule here where there's an S is this one. So that's going to be S dash goes to S dot, because we're moving this dot over one to the right, and dollar, and then dollar. We're just copying over that look ahead symbol. Then we think, do we need to expand this? The dot is in front of the dollar terminal, so no. If it was in front of a non-terminal, then we would have to consider expansion. So we can just draw a box around this, and I'll number the rest of the item sets at the end. Okay, next one we have to consider is what happens if we get a B. So if we get a B, we're looking at this item set here. S goes to dot BC, so we're going to have to consider S goes to B dot C. So S goes to B dot C, and then comma dollar, copying over look ahead symbol. And then we have to consider out the expansion, so we're going to have to expand out dot C. So again, looking at the rule here, the one where the non-terminal on the left is C is rule 4. So we're going to go C goes to dot A, because when we're kind of closing the set, the dot goes back to the beginning. Now we have to consider the look ahead symbol. So what's going to come after C? Nothing, because there's no more characters after it. So look ahead symbol in this case is dollar. And then we have to consider, do we need to expand it again? It's a dot in front of a non-terminal, so the answer is yes. So what are the production rules beginning with A? A goes to A, so we copy this over. A goes to lowercase a, and then we have to consider what would follow the A in this case, and we can see that it would be the first of A. The first of A is lowercase a, and so that's where we are. Also, we have to include the dot. Then do we have to do any more expansions, any more set closures? No, because all of the dots are in front of non-terminals. So that's it. That's our next item set. Okay, coming back here, we could also have a D. I'm cheating because I'm using a layout that I know is going to fit on the page. Might be a little bit more messy for you. So in this case, we have to consider S goes to, and then this is going to move to the right, and it's going to be D dot A. And then still we're going to copy over this, we're going to copy over the look ahead symbol. So this is going to be S goes to D dot A dollar. So a comma to indicate that's the look ahead symbol. Then we have to do our expansions or closures. So dot is the dot ahead in front of a non-terminal. It is. So it's in front of A, so that's going to go A to A. So we have to include that. A goes to A. Okay, then the look ahead symbol is here. Then what's our look ahead? In this case, the dot is here. There's nothing after A, so the look ahead can only be $, the end of the string. Any more closures to do? No, because this is in front of a non-terminal, so we stop there. That's our third. That's our third item set. Just one thing to point out here. Here we had the production rule, A goes to dot A, and here we had the same production rule, but we have a different look ahead set. So that's, just to point out that this is different from LOR 0. Typically we're going to have much more states, which is like going to result in a much more memory. It's going to result in our algorithm ultimately taking up more memory, but at the same time it's a reduction in the chance that there will be production rules that overlap with each other. So then lastly, we have to consider from this item set 0, what happens if we get a lowercase b? Well, that can go from b to here, or it could go from b to here. So we have to include both of those rules. B goes to b dot and a, copying over the non-terminal as well, or D goes to B dot A and A. Is there anything more to expand to? No, because the dot is not in front of any non-terminals, so we can draw a box around that, and that's our fourth or fifth, actually, it's our fifth item set. Okay, so we can already see from here there's nowhere to go because we're already at the end of the statement. We're already at the end. From here, we can get an A, lowercase a. We do D goes to B, A dot, A, and we can see that there's no, from here, there's no need to add any more closures or anything, so we drop the box. So that leaves us with these two, with further steps that we can make. We can get an A, in which case our expansion is S goes to DA dot, and our look ahead symbol is $, copying that over. There's nothing to expand it to, so we draw a box around it. And that's another item set, or we could also get an A, in which case we're going from A to A dot and $. And yep, nothing to expand to again, so this is a complete item set. From B, we can get either get a uppercase C as our next character, or an uppercase A, or a lowercase a. So if we get an uppercase A, let's start with a lowercase a. then that's going to take this production rule, move the dot over to the right. So that's going to be A goes to A dot and A. It's that item set finished. If we get a uppercase A, then we're going to use this rule, which is C goes to A dot A, moving the dot over to the right. So C goes to A dot A, copying over the non-terminal, copying over the look ahead symbol is $. Okay, then we do have a closure here because we have a dot in front to the left of a non-terminal. Looking at production rules, where beginning with A, it's just this one, A goes to A, so we have to include that. A goes to dot A, and then what's our look ahead symbol here? Well, if we were to move this over to the right, there's nothing following A, so again, the look ahead symbol is going to be $. Then we can close that off as an item set because there's nothing more to expand it to. Coming back here, we could have also got a C, and we would move this dot over to the right, and that would give us S goes to B, C dot, and $. Okay, then finally, we have, I think the only one that we can expand now is this item set here. So we can get a uppercase A or we can get a lowercase a. So if we get a lowercase a, not a terminal A, then that gives us A goes to A dot and $. But if we get an uppercase A, which is the non-terminal A, we're going to do C goes to A dot and $. And then we draw a box around that. And then that's it. There's nothing more to expand. So then we just have to label all of our item sets. So I'll just go clockwise and breadth first. So 0. So this is item set 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then going from here, 5, 6, from here, 7, 8, 9, from here, 10, and then the only ones left are 11 and 12 here. Okay, so it doesn't, those numbers don't matter. You can give them any numbers you want. Next, we're going to move on to constructing the parsing table from this. Okay, so for the parsing table, we're going to have the same columns as before. So we're going to have our one number for every state: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're going to have a column for every non-terminal and terminal. So our terminals are A, B, $, which is end of string, and also we're going to have a column for accepted. And then we're also going to have a column for every non-terminal as well. So that's S, B, C, D, and A. Just drawing a kind of quick line down there. Okay, so all right, so then we're just going to translate this map that we drew into shifts and reduce on this chart. I'll just do a double line actually between. This is the go-to table. So for the transitions, it's the exact same as it was before. So state, for example, in state 0, if we get an S, then we go to state 1. And the way that we write this down is look up row 0, look up S in that table. We go to 1, Here it's just a 1 in the go-to table. But if we get a terminal, actually I didn't write down this one, B, for example, if we get a terminal B, if we go 0 to 2, if we go from state 0, item set 0, and we get a B, then we open item set 4, or state 4. So 0, B, and then shift 4. So again, if you're to the left of this line, you write an S before the number. To the right, you're just writing the number. So if we go through that for every box here, if we have an S and we get a D, then we go to state 2. So 0, sorry, if we're in state 0 and we get a D when we go to state 2, so 0, D, 2. If we get a B, we go to state 3, 0, B, 3. If we get a lowercase b, well, we've already written it down as a shift 4. That's it. Then from state 2, if we get an A, then we go to state 5. Sorry, let's start state 1, nothing to do. State 2, yeah, state 2, A, then we go to state 5. So 2A is shift 5. If we get capital A, then we end up in state 6. So 2 A is going to be 6. Here and here, nothing to do. If we're in state 3 and we get an A, then we go to state 7. 3 A, shift 7. If we get a capital A, and we end up in state 8, so that's 3 capital A, 3 capital A, 8. If we get a capital C, then we end up in state 9, so 3 capital C, 9. So that's this one finished. If we're in state 4, if we get a lowercase a, then we end up in state 10. So state 4, lowercase a, shift 10. That's all there is to do here. What's left? Really just state A now. If we're in state 8 and we get an A, then we go to shift state 11. So 8, A, shift 11. And if we get a uppercase A, then we end up in state 12. So that's here, state 12. This is what we have so far for all the transitions between the different states. Then the next thing that we need to do is, and this is where it's different from the LR0 parser, look for any item set with a dot at the end. And whereas before we would have marked a whole row, here we're just putting the reduce action where we have for the look ahead symbol. So for example, in state 1, we've got S dash goes to S dot dollar. And dollar is our look ahead symbol. So comparing this with the original production rules we had, that's corresponding to rule 0. So we need to go in state 1, if we get a dollar, reduce 0. So state 1, if we get a dollar, reduce 0. Then so we just repeat that for everywhere that there is a dot at the end. So here, for example, there's one with a dot, one without a dot. We still count this one. So B, if we're in state 4 and we get B goes to B dot, B goes to B dot is, sorry, B goes to B is rule 3. So this is going to say state 4, we get an A, apply rule 3. State 4, we get an A. E goes to B, B goes to B. You know, we've already got a stage conflict. So in this case, it actually, the grammar that we were looking at actually isn't LR1 if I've done this correctly. But that's fine. We just move on. So state B, if we get a 8, then we get apply rule 3. So rule 3, then because of this, then it's not LR1. And then we would need to try something else. I think that wasn't... Yeah, okay. So anyway, continuing on. If we're in state 10 and we get an A, then we apply rule D goes to BA. D goes to BA rule 6. So 10 A, apply rule 6. If we're in state 2, there's nothing to do. If we're in state 5, so $5, apply rule 5. So 5, state 5, get $1, apply rule 5. If we're in state 6, then we get $1, then we apply rule S goes to DA 2. So state 6, $6, $6, and we apply rule 2. Rule 2. You can see that, like, if we had to fill out a whole row, then our chance of a reduced shift conflict would be higher, although there is one already. Nothing to do in state 3 because the dot's not at the end anywhere. In state 9, if we get $1, then we apply rule S goes to BC 1. So state 9, $, S goes to BC is rule 9. Sorry, rule 1. If we're in state 7 and we're in state A, then we apply rule 5. So 7A, rule 5. If we're in state 8, nothing to do here because there's no dot at the end. If we're in state 11, then A goes to A dot. If we're in state 11 and there's $1 here at the end, so state 11, we get $1, we apply rule 5. So state 11, get $1, apply rule 5. And if we're in state 12, then if we get $1, then we apply rule 4 here. So state 12, $, rule 4. Then the final thing for us to do is look for states where we've got a dot at the end and then followed by $1. And then that's going to be our accepting state. That's only really in this box here. So if we're in state 1 and we get $1, we can accept. State 1. Sorry, if we're in state 1, we can if we're in state 1, what happens here? I think we just we'll take it out. I'll double check that after this video, after I'm finished filming. So state 1, $, check. But I think it's similar to what happens in LR0.